Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon at the first webinar of a series of webinars that we're offering here at the Royal Alexandra and Albert School. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Year 11 transition into sixth form, and that's useful whether you are the parent of one of our existing pupils here or whether you're a parent of a student who's joining us in September. My name's Ria Mitchell and I'm Deputy Head Academic, and I'm joined today by my colleague Ms Bellaby, who's the Head of Sixth Form. Thank you so much to all of you who've already sent in questions to us, and during the course of this webinar we're going to hope to answer some of those burning questions that you may have. So the first question was really about what in normal circumstances would have already happened for applicants at this stage.
Most of our application process has taken place as it normally would, particularly for internal students. So during the autumn term we had a big application process and interview process that took place. External applicants could send in applications since the start of the year, but we're still accepting applications now as well. And during that process we look at subjects and career aspirations. Moving forward, what we would normally be looking to do would be an open day where students come and have a taster of sixth form life, look at what it's like in the sixth form centre and enjoy a barbecue, always their favourite part. But with the circumstances at the moment, that's what we're going to have to look at, how we adapt.
Absolutely. So lots of applicants already have applied, but there's still opportunities if people still want to make applications, and they can contact our admissions department to do that. So we offer two kinds of packages in the sixth form. We offer a boarding package and a non-boarding package. What really would you summarise as the difference between those two things?
The main difference would be that the boarders live here. They don't go home at the end of every day. But other than that, the school day is the same for both students. Both type of students get the full co-curricular package that we offer. Day students can use suddenly the sixth form centre and are also connected to a boarding house, and that's really important to remember. They are still a part of the boarding community that we have at Gatton, and that's really important to us.
Absolutely. Now if you're a parent of a Flexiboarder lower down the school, wondering what the difference is between being a Flexiboarder in year 7 to 11 and being a day pupil in sixth form, well, really the difference is that the Flexiboarding nights are not something that we offer in the sixth form, and obviously that's reflected in the different price points between the Flexiboarding package and the non-boarding sixth form package. Now lots of our pupils will end up boarding in Gatton Hall, for example. Could you just tell our parents a little bit about what Gatton Hall is like?
Gatton Hall had a big refurbishment a couple of years ago, and it's a very special place for sixth form students. It's sixth form only there, and they really appreciate that at their age. They've got a cinema room, they've got a dedicated computer room, they've gone for a open plan, so they've got a living room area with a kitchen, and students really like to cook for each other. Particularly our international students, the smells in Gatton is always really great when you go up there. It's really relaxed environment as well. They're quite obsessed with Uno, I've learnt, and competitions among each other. There's another space with a ping pong table for competitions as well. So it's a really good sort of transition if you're thinking of the next step beyond and maybe looking at university. It's a good halfway.
Absolutely. They even have a cinema room. Now, some of our pupils in sixth form won't go into Gatton House, but will go into one of our other houses, which will house students from year 7 to 11. But the sixth form will have a separate part of that. And again, that's a slightly different experience because that gives lots of opportunities for those sixth formers to have leadership within that house, which is really important character development for them. So could you just explain a little bit to me, if my child is joining in September, now normally we would have an induction process where the children could meet their teachers. Obviously, current situation, we can't really do that. So is there an opportunity for pupils who are still a bit confused about what subjects to be studying? how can they get advice on that?
There's loads of opportunities starting right now. So if a student are unsure what they want to study, they can contact us in the sixth form, and we can either have a telephone call or a Teams call, or even just an email exchange if that's enough. We also have Heidi Legg, who is working at the moment with some Year 11s for us who are a bit unsure about what subjects they want to...
That's the careers advisor.
Oh yeah, sorry, Heidi's our careers advisor as well. But when they join us in September, we've got induction process. Students change their minds all the time. They change their minds sometimes after the first few lessons. A subject might not be what they thought it was going to be. And we have a 3-week window in which students can switch subjects if they want to.
So all the way from now on results day, all the way up until they start with us in September, really contacting the sixth form team, and what you can't answer, subject specialists, the heads of department will be able to get into contact as well. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the practicalities of the school day, and thinking particularly for some of our new pupils who'll be joining us, what does a day at Royal Alexandra and Albert School sixth form, what does that really look like?
Wow. It's really important to remember it's a school, and so it's a school day. So it would start at 8:30 with a tutor group. All our students have a tutor group that they're a part of for 2 years, and that's really important for that pastoral continuity that they come to expect lower down the school. It follows through into sixth form. They might have timetabled lessons in a day which they would go to. Sixth form wouldn't have a timetabled lesson all day every day, so they would have study periods, and then during those study periods we would expect students to be in Sunley studying and doing their consolidation or their prep that's been set by their teachers. Break and lunch time are the same. After school we would be expecting students to take part in the vast co-curricular opportunities that we have at the school. So either being a part of a club or helping run a club as well is very common for sixth formers.
Absolutely. What about if I think about the subjects that the pupils will be taking? Is there a free choice completely over what subjects the children can do?
No, there are limitations. The first thing that we need to look at is the grades that students have. The sixth form has subjects that have an entry criteria, so most commonly the maths and sciences require at least a grade 7 to be able to do. It's really important to us that students are put on the right pathway for them.
Absolutely.
We want them to enjoy their subjects, and we want them to get great grades at the end of it. So that's why we put a lot of work in Year 11, working with the head of school and the careers team at making sure they're on the right pathway for them. So we need to look at that. Secondly, we do need to look at our blocking. We are quite a small sixth form, growing, but a lot of our subjects only have one class. So you need to be able to be blocked so that you can be in all your classes.
And again, this is the kind of thing, in terms of the entry requirements, looking at our options booklet, which is on our website, or contacting a member of the sixth form team or the admissions team, and we can talk you through which subjects are available. Now, the majority of students do 3 subjects, some do 4 subjects. If they do 3 subjects, could you talk to us a little bit about what they do in that extra time?
Yeah, so Year 12 also do the Global Perspectives pre-U.
Which I deliver.
Which is, would you like to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, the Global Perspectives course, we just started delivering that this year. It's a great course. It's a way for pupils to develop some of their independent research skills, critical thinking. We look at analysing key debates from a global angle. So that could be kind of artificial intelligence, fracking, agriculture. Looking at things from an international perspective is really amazing in this school, because when you sit in a class, and I have about 12 in my class, I've got pupils from all around the world, and it really helps to give that depth to the discussion, because there are global perspectives in the lesson. Now, some of the pupils do the extended project qualification instead, which again, that's got more of a focus on independent research. The head of Year 13 leads the pupils through that, but again, it's about really sparking up that thirst for knowledge beyond subject content that you're getting in the classroom. And when the pupils make their university personal statements, it's really important that that idea that they are interested in learning about things and interested in knowledge and the world really needs to shine through a good university application, I would argue. So if we think about most of our pupils probably have a good idea about what subjects they want to do now, but if they then find that they don't get the grades they want to, or if over the summer they change their mind, can they change their their subjects once they've started here even?
Yeah, so we usually look at 3 weeks, give students a chance to settle in and actually give a subject to go. Sometimes students know in the first lesson it's not the right subject for them, and we always say, well, come straight to the sixth form team so we can look at how we can switch. We still need to look at blocking, and we still need to look at grades that they've got. And it's important for students to know that they need to catch up on any work missed from the new subject. But usually students are so passionate when they want to switch, they're eager to catch up on their new subject. And teachers love students in their classroom, so they will always throw the work at them to get them caught up with their peers.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, as Deputy Head Academic, I'm going to say that academic aspects of our sixth form are incredibly important. But it's not just about the academics, is it? What else can a student in our sixth form come to expect?
We are really passionate in sixth form, well, as a school as a whole, about developing the whole student, preparing them for the real world out there. And one of the things that we do offer, which is unique to this sixth form, is the Global Leaders Award. That was introduced 2 years ago. It was designed specifically for our sixth form, and that gives credit to students doing everything else. Their clubs, their societies, their volunteering, the Duke of Edinburgh Award that we offer here as well. And it really pushes students to develop that whole person, but also credits those students that do that anyway, which we think is really important. We have a lot of students who just throw themselves at life head on, and we really want to hold those guys up as our role models.
Absolutely. We have a view, I think, that we can share with you, that when a pupil enters our school in year 3, they should be looking at the students in year 13, looking at those 18-year-olds and thinking, that's the kind of person I want to become. And we really see the sixth form as the pinnacle. So, as well as all of that, just could you explain a little bit about how the sixth form lecture programme works?
Yeah, we are really lucky at this school with the lecture programme. So year 12 and year 13 have bespoke lecture programmes. Year 12, once a week, go as a cohort, and they are delivered a lecture either by their head of year or an outside speaker on a specific topic. And year 13 have the same experience but appropriate for year 13. They then leave the lecture and go to their tutor groups, so they're in smaller groups where they can follow up and do more in-depth work on what they've done in the lecture. And this allows us to target what we do with students, what they need at certain times of the year, or what a certain cohort might need at a certain point. But it also allows us to do everything else that we can't fit into the academic classes. So as a psychology teacher, when I'm teaching them psychology, but actually students need such a broader education.
Yeah.
So this way we can do the careers work comes under this, finance and budgeting, health and well-being, all the PSHE stuff that is done lower down the school carries on in sixth form, but we just do it through a different format.
I'm really glad you touched on that, because I think we've talked a lot about academic excellence, and of course that's what our parents want for their children, but we're both parents ourselves, and I would say the two things we really want is our children to be safe and our children to be happy. How do we ensure in the sixth form that the children are safe and happy?
We take lots of different angles to this. We have the tutors are your first port of call of knowing their students and looking out for those warning signs that something might not be quite right, that they need some extra support in there. We have an open door policy in sixth form, so our students learn very early on that they can just walk into our offices or knock on the doors, or come and have a cup of tea and a chat and a biscuit, and we really try and encourage all our students that somewhere in the school there is an adult for all of them to talk to. We do a formal approach through the lecture programme as well, where we teach them how to be safe in a modern world, how to take ownership of their own lives and take responsibility. We also recognise they're people and we all make mistakes, and it's really important to learn how to pick yourself up from those mistakes and move on, whether it's an academic mistake or a personal mistake as well, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I would say it's really just about creating that environment where all our students just feel safe.
Absolutely. And obviously we have our trained nurses and our trained counsellors that work with us on site with all of our pupils in the school. So obviously parts of your lecture programme are really preparing the children for the future, and you talked a little bit about that. It's great that on the 26th of May, on our next webinar, I'm going to be talking a little bit to one of our past students who's currently studying at Oxbridge, and I'm going to be talking to her a little bit about what her experiences there are like of going through that programme. And I talk with vested interest as an Oxbridge graduate myself, so hopefully parents will find that useful. Is there anything else that you want to tell our parents today about how we prepare students for university or higher level apprenticeships for their life post-Gatton?
The process starts in year 12. After Christmas, first term is always about settling in. So in the January of year 12, they will all get their Unifrog login, and this is a database essentially of all UK institutions and courses, and Unifrog is used throughout then the next year and a half process. They have lectures dotted about in year 12, so not to freak them out too much about the future. And then in summer term, that's where we really hit with UCAS process, teaching them. We go on visits to usually to universities and helping them write their personal statements. And this is again where the tutor plays such an important role. The tutor's that first port of call of checking the statements and helping them hone it, and also getting them to think about the appropriate next steps. We also use Heidi, who I've mentioned before, our independent careers advisor. She meets with all of year 12, usually before Christmas, just to see if there are any emergency cases and look at courses and just make sure all students are on that right pathway then for what they might want in the future.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that we've been able to give you some kind of flavour to what life is like at the sixth form here. I do hope that you found some of this webinar useful and that it's helped to answer some of the questions that you may have. Unfortunately, you can't really get a sense of the magic of Gatton just out of what we're saying, but I really hope that once lockdown is ended, we can see you again, and I really look forward to welcoming you all onto campus. Thank you so much.